Good morning and welcome to Norcal APEX Accelerator's webinar. Today, we're discussing DoW contracting readiness, covering Mentor-Protégé Programs, FOCI considerations, and the IBAS program. My name is Amanda Anderson. I'm the program coordinator for Norcal APEX Accelerator. And today, I'm joined by one of our fantastic procurement specialists, Frank Luna. But before I pass it off to him for the main content of this presentation, I do want to let you all know a little bit about the APEX Accelerator program and how Norcal APEX Accelerator can assist you with government contracting. So the APEX Accelerator program is a nationwide network of over 96 local centers that are funded by federal, state, and local government grants to help businesses just like yours figure out how to contract with government agencies. We do that by providing education and training so that you can learn all of the skills that you need to really find success in government contracting. But what exactly does that education and training look like? What kind of services would an APEX Accelerator offer? Well, at Norcal APEX Accelerator, we're able to offer our no-cost government contracting assistance to the 15 Northern California counties you see on your screen. And we offer our services through three main pillars of assistance. First, our one-on-one counseling, where once you sign up with our center as a client, you'll be paired with one of our procurement specialists, just like Frank, who can sit down with you over Zoom to help with anything related to government contracting. From helping you do the initial market research to figure out what agencies are buying your products or services, to helping you get all of your registrations and certifications in order. And once you're connected with a counselor, you're able to have them review solicitations that you want to bid on and help make sure you're submitting the strongest bid you possibly can. And you can even sit down with your counselor after you win your first contract to make sure that all of the compliance paperwork is really tightened up and exactly where you need it to be. Another great benefit of becoming a client with Norcal APEX Accelerator is you're able to get access to our custom bid matching software. Now, what this does is it allows you to sit down with your counselor and define specific criteria of what you're looking for in a good solicitation. So maybe you can only provide your products or services to a certain geographic location. That geographic location could be something you're looking for in a solicitation. Or maybe your product is innovative or very niche, and that product name itself would be a good criteria in a solicitation you're looking for. You can sit down with your counselor to figure out really what would be a good solicitation for you and what criteria would help this system get those to you. And then our counselors enter that into our software, which scrapes both federal, state, and local procurement sites for good solicitations based on that criteria. And it emails these opportunities directly to you. And some of our clients with very broad products will get emails daily with opportunities for contracts. It is a great resource, and I'm so glad that we're able to offer that to our clients. And our third, but definitely not least, our final but not least pillar of assistance is one you're actually taking advantage of right now. We put on a ton of virtual and in-person trainings throughout the years covering topics like today's with DoW contracting and how to really get into the programs that they offer, to more introductory ones like Subcontracting 101. Or I know Frank is actually going to be presenting a Prevailing Wages 101 at our upcoming Fort Bragg event. We also put on a ton of specific events where you can connect and network with government agencies, like that Fort Bragg event I mentioned. We'll have quite a few state our state government agency representatives joining us to help you network and make those connections and really build that network you need to find these opportunities. Another great part of this pillar is our website, where we maintain a ton of links and resources for every level of government contracting, whether you're doing federal, state, or local. And the best part is this third pillar of assistance is one that you can take advantage of without being a client. This is absolutely available to anybody and everybody who is interested in government contracting. And you are always welcome to join us at our in-person events, at our webinars, or just check out our website and utilize those resources. They truly are here to help you. But if you are looking for that one-on-one personalized assistance, please do sign up with Norcal APEX Accelerator. Or if you're not in our 15 county service area, remember that the APEX Accelerator program is 96 centers strong across the nation. And there is absolutely one near you who can help you find your success in government contracting. And with that, I am delighted to pass it over to Frank Luna for today's presentation.
Well, thank you, Amanda, and hopefully you can hear me okay.
Yep.
Well, thank you. My name is Frank Luna, and I am coming to you from a secret bunker located somewhere in the United States. Just kidding. But anyway, I'm here glad to present to you today our workshop on Department of War's Mentor-Protégé is one of the things that we'll cover. Cover the foreign ownership, control, and influence. And also, lastly, we'll cover the IBAS, the Industrial Base Analysis and Sustainment Program. But before we begin, a couple of training disclosure, of course. The speed of change within government is extremely rapid right now. So the information provided herein is accurate to the best of the presenter's ability at this time of this presentation. Some or all of the provisions mentioned herein could be changed without the presenter's knowledge by the current administration. So be aware of that. And we are staying on top of all the changes as fast as we can and to bring these presentations as up to date and current as possible. Again, my name is Frank Luna. I've been a procurement advisor for the last 7 years. I came out of the private sector, selling to government for over 25 years. I'm a professional contract guy, certified in both federal contracting and commercial contracting. And as we get into this slides, you'll see why I acquired these skills. But first and foremost, what is the DoW's Mentor-Protégé Program? It was implemented in the early 90s to provide incentives for the DoW's prime contractors, the private sector, to assist small businesses in enhancing their capabilities to increase participation in government and commercial contracts. As I mentioned, there's two sides of contracting with the government. You have to be somewhat knowledgeable of government contracts, of course, the language, and commercial contracts as well as we work with prime contractors in the space. This program is also a tool to establish, increase, maintain a stronger or capable small business industrial base to support the warfighter. Critical to government is the industrial base that we're going to mention here. We have two sides of the government industrial base, and we have the defense industrial base. Some of the why we put these programs on. Currently, the supply chain of the government is down, and I believe the current totals are almost up to 40% as far as the supply chain in businesses supplying their products and services to government. Government needs businesses to procure their products and services, and that's why we're here. Next slide, please. So who can participate in the program? Protégés must be a small business and must have half the size standard corresponding to their primary NAICS code. Their NAICS code that you assign to yourself as a firm that shows the core competency of the firm. And the North America Industry Classification Code is one that you supply the system of award management when you register. Must be owned or managed by individuals or entities that directly or indirectly have stock options or convertible securities in the mentor firm, and must have these eligibility requirements. Now, these are specific to the Department of Defense. To be eligible as a protege, the entity, and as you become a government contractor, your firm or your company will be referred to as an entity. If you're new to government, there are certain terms, acronyms that you will become to learn, and so government will be another language for you as you learn the government speak. One of the things, of course, you must be a small business concern. You must be eligible for award in a federal contract. The eligibility requirements are also stated in SAM, and we can also assist the firm to review their eligibility requirements. Not more than the SBA, the Small Business Administration size standard for its NAICS code as mentioned. Not owned or managed by individuals or entities that directly or indirectly have stock options, convertible securities, or mentor firms, and at least one of the following. Now, the convertible securities and other firms also ties into the FOCI, which also we'll discuss in later slides. Additionally, you could be a HUB zone qualified business. It could be a WOSB, a woman-owned small business, a service disabled veteran-owned small business concern as well, an Indian tribe firm as well. Native Hawaiian organizations can also be an eligible requirement. An entity that is controlled socially and economically by disadvantaged individuals. And also non-traditional defense contractor. Lastly, and more importantly, the entity that currently provides goods or services in the private sector that's critical to enhance the capabilities of the defense supplier base and fulfillment key the Department of Defense needs. And this is what this conversation is critically about, is the Department of Defense's needs and the supply chain. Next slide. Now we move into the mentor side. Who can be a mentor? There's eligibility requirements in the federal side for mentors. Of course, DoW must approve all mentors who apply. They must demonstrate qualified to provide assistance. In other words, have a proven track record that you are a contractor, an expert in your field, have the capabilities, the good financial character and health, must not be disbarred or suspended by the government. Also have evidence of the capabilities to provide the value to the protege. In other words, what value do you bring to the protege that will bring them up to speed to be a viable government contractor? Other than a small entity, and then also the DoD contracts totaling at least $1 million for the previous fiscal year. The performance history that you are and you know what you do as a government contractor to be an adequate mentor to people or to the small businesses that are entering into this space. The message here is success. We want our proteges to succeed in this space. Government contracting is not simple. It is a long sales cycle and also a very long platform to learn the federal acquisitions regulations, small business subcontracting plans. Takes time to learn, and mentors need to be able to have that capacity to educate small businesses entering into the space. As an 8A graduate, which is the SBA's Disadvantaged Business Certification, with documentation of its ability to serve as a mentor. Next slide. Approved mentors, the DoD does provide a list and a web page of resources where you can look for approved mentors. And I do apologize in advance since I am in an area where it is blooming early. Sinuses are active with the bloom, so I apologize for the sniffles and the coughs that you will hear throughout the presentation. One of the things that you will see, the information provided in this portal, there is, of course, the Mentor-Protégé directory. There's an MPP summit this year that if you are serious about working as a protege with mentors within the DoW, that I recommend. How to participate? Again, you will cover in-depth eligibility requirements within this page. The DoW OSBP, who is our governing agency, contracts, frequently answers and questions. The DoD Mentor-Protégé Program in its whole. And the DoD's program, one of course. But this information, and we want to make sure that we don't, there is a lot of information out there in the internet. We want to make sure that we point you in the right direction. The government has a lot of resources. When you're navigating into these pages, you will see other avenues to step into for information. Anything with the .gov is a trusted site for government information. .coms, I do not recommend. Next slide. Now, what are the benefits to the DoW? The benefits, of course, is to stimulate transition, innovate technologies into established defense acquisitions programs. Keep in mind, the DoW does not create or build anything. They acquire. They help develop technologies that the warfighter needs for national security, resolve operational challenges and other critical national security requirements, provides development, technical assistance to proteges for potential business opportunities within DoW agencies and other federal agencies. As I mentioned, the mentor has to have the technical assistance, the technical experience, more importantly, to help guide small business to help avoid some of the pitfalls that can possibly get a small business or a business to fail. Next slide, please. Now, is MPP right for your firm? The benefits, of course, to the protege is that you will gain that experience, that business assistance, the knowledge base from an experienced firm to help guide you through a government contract is critical and sometimes can be priceless. It can help you position for a prime contracting opportunities. And when we talk about prime contracting, prime contractors, these are contractors that are already government contractors that are working in the government space, fulfilling government contracts. Then we talked about briefly subcontracting plans. Within the federal contracting arena, our clause 19 is the small business subcontracting part within the federal acquisitions regulations. It requires prime contractors over a certain threshold to bring in small businesses to help participate in executing the scope of work, part of the government's economic development to help small businesses grow, hire, and bring in new technology into the field. It can help foster long-term relationships. I often tell clients, government is a long sales cycle and relationships are critical. It is a long-term relationship. Your first year will be learning all the ins and outs, but plan on this being a long endeavor. It does enhance business development and technology capabilities. It can give a small business the leverage to take their technologies to the next level. Teaming opportunities with mentors to win new contracts and or subcontracts. Then again, the DoD's long-term industrial base partnership. Next slide, please. Now, benefits to the mentor. Again, develops long-term business relationships with small disadvantaged businesses concerns, SDBs. Subcontracting plans are definitely a base to help develop that relationship and help the mentor comply with the subcontracting plans within the firm. Teaming opportunities with proteges to win new contracts and or subcontracts. It helps you compete as a small business for the small business set-aside contracts. Whether you fall into any of the socioeconomic certifications, as WOSB, SDVOSB, or 8A, or Hub Zone, it can help you penetrate and execute larger contracts. Receives dollars and credits to, as I mentioned, the small business subcontracting goals within the FAR clause, and I believe it's 52-219.9. Don't quote me, but I believe that's right. Next slide. And the commitments to assist, the assistance to provide should be based on the needs, the assignments of the protege. So as a mentor, you have to make commitments that you will assist in certain areas that the protege needs in order to execute larger projects, to grow, to bring their tech into the commercial space. And NPAs of marriage, courtship, dating. In many cases, the proteges are selected from the supplier base for the mentor. I could not agree with that more. This is a long-term relationship. You have to pick your primes carefully. You have to pick your subs, again, if you're a prime, very carefully. Small businesses should be marketing themselves to primes for subcontracting opportunities and partnerships within this space. And know that each other can support the growth of their own business within the government space. Build performance, grow, establish yourself as a value-added supplier, partner candidate, and partner and potential candidate for the program. As I mentioned, the supply chain for the government is down. And these programs help shore up the shortfalls in not only the supplier chain, but also technology. Next slide. And of course, with every relationship, there is a risk. The commitment to work within the program beliefs can be difficult to remember in busy days, of course. Responsible for making sure that all regulations, rules, and processes are followed, and not to be used from prime contractors for benefit only. Now, currently there are programs that are being audited within the federal government due to prime contractors using these programs for their own benefit. Currently, programs are certifications are being scrutinized and audited to ensure that small businesses are who they are and that prime contractors are utilizing these programs in an effort to implement economic growth at the small business level. Next slide, please. So how do you get started with the DoW and the MPP? There is a portal, of course, and I mentioned the portal has a wealth of information, and we definitely advise you to take a step into this portal, begin a deep dive in learning, creating a login, and looking at the resources included within this portal. Apex is always here to help you in understanding and navigating through these challenges and registering, of course, if you have any questions. Some of these portals can be a challenge and can be hard to understand. Government language is not for everybody, and we do not expect you to be a professional at the beginning. Of course, you are a professional in your own industry and we're here to help. Next slide, please. So now the foreign ownership and control or influence, FOCI, and how it plays in the DoW. Foreign ownership, control, and influence stands for, in the U.S. context of U.S. government contracting, for the National Security Program and IPS, and managed by the Defense Counterintelligence Agency, Security Agency. The main purpose of FOCI within the DSCA is to protect national security by identifying and mitigating risks that foreign interests could pose to contractors handling classified information or data deemed sensitive, either CUI or FCI. Next slide, please. So what does that mean in simplified terms? Foreign investments can play a role in maintaining the vitality of the U.S. industrial base, of course. We do have bases all over the world, so we do hire foreign-owned companies. Therefore, it is a policy of the U.S. government to allow foreign investment consistent with the national security interests of the U.S. of the United States. A company considered to be operated under FOCI whenever the foreign interest has direct power or indirect, whether it's not exercised or whether it's not exercisable to the direct, or matters affecting the management of operations of the company in a manner in which may result in the unauthorized access to classified information from any adversely affected or performance of classified contracts. The link is there, but what that means is that foreign companies can supply the U.S. government with supplies, with what it needs. But there has to be disclosures. There has to be disclosures that the company is not controlled by a foreign interest. Now, where do those disclosures come in? When you register your firm, your entity in SAM, you will go through a section of certifications and representations. Within the answers to those questions, you will select if you are a foreign entity. That will generate the following questions: whether you're controlled indirectly, directly, if you're managed by a foreign entity, and then the threat will be mitigated by the government, and you will be allowed to engage with the government at a certain level. Next slide. So there is an analysis process after you identify your ship as foreign owned. The company definitely has to be majority foreign owned. The control, direct and indirect control over the company, meaning you can direct the company's direction either to invest, to change direction, to fire somebody, but you have control. You have influence. And the analysis can be included but not limited to contractors' ownership in foreign companies, contractors' income and or debt from foreign-owned companies as well. You could be beholden to another company or that owned by a foreign entity to make changes within your own firm as a government contractor. Key personnel under consulting roles with foreign entities. So these analyses are done once you identify that you're foreign owned. Next slide. Now, once you are identified as a foreign owned, again, it does not restrict you from selling to the government, but there are limitations. The U.S. company under FOCI is ineligible for security clearance, FCL, and access to classified federal information or controlled unclassified information. They can also have restriction to access for prescribed or sensitive information. Limited entity eligibility in some cases. DCSA may grant limited eligibility determination rather than full clearance, inherently limiting access to classified information and or facilities. Next slide. Now, the Industrial Base Sustainment Program, IBAS. Next slide. So what is IBAS? The primary purpose of the Department of War's Industrial Base Analysis and Sustainment Program is to sustain the U.S. defense industrial base, to ensure its resilience, competitiveness, and the ability to meet national security requirements. So this is the umbrella that feeds what our funding requirements and our protocols come down to support small businesses. It improves the readiness and competitiveness of the defense industrial base, establishes high priority domestic capabilities and new supply chain critical for national security, mitigating exposure to global supply chain risks and vulnerabilities, addressing gaps in manufacturing capabilities, capacities, and workforce. And what that means is anything and everything that our war needs to ready its warfighter. Anything from manufacturing, supply, technology, workforce development, to build what is needed for the Department of War. All that goes into the analysis and sustainment planning under this IBAS program. Next slide, please. The org chart, of course, government is, of course, the biggest customer in the world and has many different layers. It starts with the Assistant of the Secretary of War for the Industrial Base Policy that drives the initiatives and filters down to parent agency, the Office of Small Business Programs, who supports us in supporting our small businesses in entering into the space. As I mentioned, the supply chain is down critically, and we need small businesses to gear up and step into this space to help national security and the Department of War. Next slide, please. So it stems from Title 10 from the U.S. Code 4817, and that establishes the U.S. Industrial Base Fund, which grants the Secretary of Defense specific authorities to strengthen the industrial base as needed. There are core authorities under this section as codified in Title 10. The establishment of the fund, the Secretary of Defense establishes an industrial base fund. Now, currently, the Department of War's fund is number 2 as being the top budget. And in government contracting, I like to follow them. So if I'm looking at diversification, I want to follow where the budgets are going. So the funding sources consist of amounts appropriated or otherwise made available to address critical issues in industry base related to urgent operational needs, supports the effort to expand the industrial base. And that currently is taking more of a homegrown effect. More companies are the U.S. companies, of course, U.S. made. More domestic sources are being sought, is from what I understand. Of course, address the supply chain vulnerabilities. And we did see a lot of vulnerabilities a few years ago in supply chain when we had to shut our borders down. So this is critical to national security and, of course, the supply chain. Expenditures and procedures. Security shall establish all procedures for expending money, funds to support the above uses. The funding avenues for IBAS can come in many different ways. It can come in grants, contracts, other transaction authorities, cooperative agreements, purchase commitments, incentives for domestic capabilities, and actions to strengthen productive capabilities. Flexibility under IBAS is great. It expands over GIPs, contracting, which is our world, and other funding opportunities, the OTAs. Next slide. Currently, the strategic priorities is to prepare the industrial force, the defense industrial force, promote, elevate, and accelerate industrial talent pipelines. Currently, the government, from what I understand, is going to be needing 500,000 skilled trades to strengthen the industrial defense workforce. Ready the modern industrial, the defense industrial base, advance and sustain traditional defense manufacturing sectors. Of course, prepare for the future, identify, attract, and cultivate emerging defense sectors. Now, I mentioned GIPs. There's a wealth of government innovative programs out there that fit under this category. SBIRs, STTRs, DARPA programs, anything from no tech to high tech is available within the government space. Assess and shapes risks, mitigate supply chain vulnerabilities within the global defense industrial base as well. As I mentioned, we have bases all over the world, and we need the supply chain to be accessible all over the world as well. Next slide. The key investment focus areas currently are going to be submarine and shipbuilding workforce. Again, expanding the talent workforce that helps build the equipment needed. Kinetic weapons, improving production for missiles, munitions, hypersonic, solid rocket motors. Thermal protection and related capabilities to address urgent operational needs and surging capacity. And based on the current landscape of the world, of course, you can see where this applies. Microelectronics, showing secure advanced packaging ecosystem, legacy state of the practice components and border supply chain resilience, critical materials, onshoring, extraction, separation, processing, and allied sources for strategic materials, castings and forgings, enhanced manufacturing methods, machining tools, workforce, development, government metals, infrastructure to boost capacity and resilience, energy storage and batteries, expanding domestic production, including lithium, graphite processing, related critical minerals to support electrification and high capacity needs. Of course, the program is awarded over $935 million in core California funds across 73 plus projects in these sectors. And there's a slide or a source there where you can continue to look at where these focused areas are. And of course, for your given sector of capacity and also your footprint, you can take a look at what opportunities are going to be available for your firm or for your subcontracting opportunities within these categories. Next slide. And of course, there's a wealth of information in government contracting. We here at APEX Accelerators want nothing more than to open another door for you and succeed within this government space. I was in the government space for 25 years. It can be extremely challenging and can be extremely lucrative if you do the right steps. Our counselors are here with us to support, have a wealth of information. I believe I have about 300 colleagues across the nation that are experts within this field. Anything from ex-contracting officers to business owners, business leaders, all are here to help support you to help feed the government industrial base. Next slide.
Yeah. And like Frank said, the Apex Accelerator program is funded to help you contract with government agencies because they want to do business with you. So please do connect with Norcal Apex if you're within our service area. But if not, remember we are 96 centers strong across the nation. So there is absolutely one near you who can help you with anything related to government contracting. And before we go into upcoming events and our questions, I do want to remind everyone, if you have questions about today's presentation, about the content we covered, please do enter that into the Q&A section of Zoom, and we will be getting to that shortly. I also want to ask you all to, if you have a moment, we always appreciate your feedback on these webinars. I did drop a link in chat if you would like to let us know how you thought today's presentation went. Both if you think we did great and you got all the information you need and you're just looking forward to getting the slides so you can really dive in. Or on the flip side, if you think you want to see us cover something different, or if you want to see a different format webinar. The feedback survey is where you can really let us know how we can fine tune these trainings to better suit you and your business needs. So before we get into questions, I want to go over some really awesome upcoming events we have planned. First and foremost, we are partnering with Action, a prime contractor that has a Hunters Point Naval Shipyard contract and is hosting a small business industry day at Hunters Point. That is in San Francisco, California, and that'll be happening on March 25th at 10 a.m. Small business industry days like this can be amazing opportunities to network and connect with potential prime contractors if you're looking to subcontract, and possibly even connecting with mentors if you want to be a protege in this program. So if you are interested in that, please do go onto that link and register. That way we can make sure we don't oversell the seats we have. But if you are looking to maybe expand your contracting space, maybe jump into a little bit of state contracting as well as federal, we have our How to Do Business with the State of California event. Our next in person event for that is going to be happening in Fort Bragg, California on April 3rd. And if you are looking to travel into the area, we have worked with a local hotel to give you a 20% discount on your stay for the weekend. You can find all that information on our training calendar webpage. So you can find both the hotel rate as well as the place to register for that event, as in-person event seating is limited to the venue space. So please do make sure if you are interested in joining us to register early. Cool. And then a couple other virtual events you may be interested in happening at the end of April. You can learn about SBIR, STTR, and other government-led innovation programs at our Commercialize Your Innovation webinar happening on April 28th. And you can also join us on April 29th to fine-tune your networking and marketing skills at our How to Network and Market with Government Buyers webinar. That webinar is put on in partnership with the third annual NorCal Procurement Fair, which will be happening in May. And that is going to be a great opportunity to utilize the networking and marketing skills that you'll learn at this webinar. So if you are in the area and interested in joining us for those, please go onto our website calendar, apexnorcal.org/trainings. And now let's go ahead and get into the Q&A questions. So I see Justin in the Q&A. They're wondering, are there recommended ways to market to primes you know may be bidding on a solicitation? And or does Norcal Apex offer assistance in that area?
Most definitely. Most definitely, there is a process to engage with prime contractors that are working in the government space. As we mentioned before, it is a marriage between you and your prime. So you want to make sure that your prime is the right fit for you. You want to make sure that they pay on time, which is critical, which is a common theme that I hear. My primes don't pay me on time. They have to get paid first. So you want to iron out all the subcontracting deals. But back to knowing your prime, be working on contracts that you can help fulfill. Um, how much government work do they do? Are they a federal contractor? Are they a state contractor? What are they looking for? But yes, you want to market to your prime contractors with what we call a scope letter. Scope letters are critical to convey your core competencies and your core experience relevant to the project that you are looking to support. Most of these are project specific. So when you're marketing to these primes, you want to have, of course, information. Information is critical. Information of the project that you're bidding to work on. You're applying for a job. So you want to know everything you can about the position as you prepare your scope letter and you begin that first engagement with your prime. Now, some primes do require pre-qualification to begin that conversation. So you will have to go through a pre-qualification process if the prime requires. Some prime contractors have it pretty simple on their websites. You can go on their websites if it's a larger prime, and they will have a partners page or a subcontractors page where you can go through the pre-qualification process. But again, we're here to help you kind of navigate through that channel and prepare your scope letter that is impactful and will be effective for you.
Awesome. And Frank, I actually had a question jumping off of that. As you mentioned, scope letters and not capability statements. In which
Yes.
cases would you use a scope letter over a capability statement? And when would you want to use a capability statement over a scope letter?
Perfect. Excellent question. Capability statement is your firm's resume and should be used as a resume to communicate what is the overall resume of the firm. You know, what is your core competencies? What is the performance history of the firm, certifications, everything that is critical to your firm. Engineering certs, if applicable, licenses, bonding, insurance. The scope letter is applicable to the job, to the opportunity, the specific work that you're applying for. So it is, if you're applying to, in other words, work to build a new facility, that scope letter is just for that project. An example is a point of entry. Point of entries for the border being overhauled, being remodeled. I have clients that are marketing specific to prime contractors working on that specific project that are, of course, geographically strong in that area.
Fantastic. And yeah, because there's quite a few different marketing tools, and I've always been curious about when would you want to use one over the other. And I think that's a great explanation for it. And we did get a couple other questions. Sarah's wondering if we have someone who can help them with their capability statement and put it on their SAM record or scope letter. Is that something that our counselors can assist with?
Yes, but at a very basic level. CMMC, the cybersecurity requirements, which is the maturity model that is required by the Department of Defense specifically to work with, level one requirement is definitely the foundational. We can assist you with level one. We can definitely point you into the resources that will help you go into the level twos and level three that are much more advanced for more technical entities that are working with primes or government. But yes, we can point you in the right direction. We're also, as an agency, still learning about the full requirements of CMMC. If we're going to be tasked with educating everybody, but for now, we can definitely support level one.
Yes, and that was actually an answer to Rebecca's question in chat about CMMC level 1 and 2. I did post our most recent previous webinar recording in chat for you to explore, and I'll go ahead and make that link public as well. But I had asked if Apex can help with capability statements and scope letters.
Yes, most definitely. We can assist with either or. I do recommend, every firm have a capability statement ready to go, uh, and make sure you keep that uh, dynamic. Of course, it is a resume. As you mature and grow in expertise within your firm, add more capabilities that should be added as well.
Absolutely. And we do have a web page on our site dedicated just to capability statement, which I will get that link in chat as well. It can be a great starting place. And we also have an editable template of a capability statement. So if you are really just starting from the beginning, that would be a great resource for you as well.
As a follow-up to the CMMC question, or the cybersecurity question, I do recommend that everyone begin cybersecurity protocols and to be at least level 1 compliant. Level 1 is a self-assessment. You can do a self-assessment test online through Project Spectrum, which is, of course, we can assist with that. But I do recommend everybody, the state is adopting, state of California will be adopting similar protocols. So cybersecurity is critical and growing. It is going to be a requirement, mandatory requirement to engage with government in the near future.
Absolutely. And that is a point we cannot get through enough. It's going to be so much easier and so much lighter on you and your team to start working through it before it becomes a hard requirement. And then we had another question. Frank, could you comment on this situation? A small business that's aligned with a prime contractor for AF, which I'm assuming is Air Force opportunities, but has a different preferable prime contractor partner that could work for Army opportunities. Would you recommend, or how would you recommend a small business should think about that kind of situation from a mentor protege perspective?
Well, are you a mentor protege now or not, or just a subcontractor to the prime? Would be my follow-up question. If you are just a subcontractor to prime, there is nothing wrong with having more than one relationship for a prime. So if you have a prime that is strong in one sector, then definitely work with that prime, and another prime in another sector. You can have more than one. Mentor proteges are different. You can only have one mentor protege at a time. So there is a little bit of separation. So that's the only clarification I have. But again, pick your primes carefully. But yes, I recommend more than one prime.
Yeah. And if you're looking for more guidance or assistance, that would be a perfect topic to bring into a counseling session with once you become a client with your local Apex Accelerator Center, because they can really get into the details of your business, your specific situation, and really fine tune that guidance. And once they understand the nuance, they can really advise much better. And so that is all of the questions in the Q&A. We do have about 4 minutes left. So any last minute questions, please do feel free to drop those in. I did see a question in chat that I would love to kind of poke your brain about. Someone was asking if there was any major updates about the 8A program. And since it was briefly mentioned, I wanted to see if you, Frank, know anything about how that program is getting along and how all of that's kind of settling? Because there was a lot of changes going on at one point.
Correct. Yes, the 8A program currently is going through an audit of all the current certified individuals or certified firms. Everybody is currently being asked to recertify to ensure that they are a disadvantaged firm. The requirements to qualify for a disadvantaged firm have changed. Now you cannot, or the eligibility requirement of race or gender is not being used, will not be a determining factor for your certification. you will have to write a narrative to establish your disadvantage status of your firm. So this is specifically addressing the firm. So the firm has to display that it's been in disadvantaged status and unable to compete in the contracting world to grant that 8A certification. It is still a certification that is going to be utilized. The small business certification set-asides are not going away, to include the WOSB, which also I'm sure you've heard some rumors about that as well. And so those programs are alive and well. They're just going through an audit process to ensure that the firms that have been certified in the past are who they are.
Absolutely. And I know with the current administration, there's been a lot of changes and a lot of talk and rumors about changes to the federal certification program. So this is the best time to really connect with the Apex Accelerator Centers like you have done today, because we are here on the front line figuring out what's going on with these changes and what they mean for businesses just like you. So whether it's connecting with us as a client and getting in with counseling, or keeping an eye on our web pages for updates, or even joining our newsletter, because we do send out notices about these certification updates, about procurement changes to the regulation as soon as we get them, to make sure that everybody we can knows that these changes are happening. So changes happen, like Frank said, at the speed of government, sometimes with or without notice. So please do connect with these resources like the Apex Accelerator Centers so that you can stay up to date and make sure that your company is maintaining that compliance and your certifications.
Lastly, I will say that as a business owner and being in government business for close to 30 years now, it is extremely lucrative. It can create great opportunities for any small business that is willing to take the necessary steps to succeed.
Absolutely. And we are here to help you take those steps. We are a coach in your corner in a sense. So if you do have an interest in pursuing this and really want that support, please do sign up for our services at apexnorcal.org/join. And remember, if you're not within our service area, you can still take advantage of this opportunity to really utilize this assistance, as we are a nationwide network of centers. And so with that, I would love to wrap up. And thank you so much, Frank, for putting on this presentation and compiling all of this information. It can be a lot, especially at the federal level. There's a lot of nuance and a lot of things are changing right now. So thank you so much, Frank.
Thank you, Amanda. Could not have done it without you.
Yeah, happy to be here. And thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope that you got what you were looking for out of this presentation. And as you do exit the webinar, you will be redirected to our feedback survey, which I have mentioned. If you have just a brief moment, and you can answer anonymously if you would prefer, we always value your feedback on these trainings, because we put on these trainings for you and your business. So if we could be doing it better for you in a different format or covering a different topic, this is the place to let us know. On the flip side, if you think this was a great webinar and you loved what you got out of it and you're looking forward to the slides and the recording, this is also a place to let us know that we should keep on doing what we're doing. So thank you all so much for joining us today, and I hope you all have a great rest of your Thursday.
Thank you all. Good night.